morning, Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Habibie Center's International Seminar to commemorate our 25th anniversary under the theme of Navigating the Future of Indo-Pacific. As we prepare to begin our opening session, I kindly invite you to find your seats, make yourself comfortable, ensure your mobile devices are set to silent. We also appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a respectful and orderly atmosphere throughout the session. Now, before we start our seminar, I humbly invite our guests and all the audience to stand up for Indonesia's national anthem. Thank you, everyone. You may now have a seat. My name is Patrick Kurniawan, and I'll be your host for today's seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, the Habibie Center was established 25 years ago, and is rooted in the profound aspirations to bringing a life in a society that respects and upholds democracy and human rights. These values are what our founding father, the late President Baharudin Yusuf Habibie, has envisioned for this nation. And foreign policy remains as one of the cornerstones to both uphold and promote these values. Today's seminar serves as a platform for fostering meaningful dialogue and engaging in the tough but necessary conversation about the realities and complexities of contemporary national and global affairs. On that account, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and invite Dr. Muhammad Hassan Ansori, Executive Director of the Habibie Center, to deliver his opening remarks. Dr. Ansori, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. Your Excellencies, Ibu Ani Nigrawati, Director for Public Diplomacy, Ministry of Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, Professor Di Fortuna Anwar, the Chair of Board of Directors, Habibie Center, Your Excellency, Ambassador Darmansa Jumala, former Indonesian Ambassador to the Republic of Poland, 2010-2014, and to Australia and the UN, 2017-2021. Your Excellency, Admiral Retired Professor Dr. Marcel Theo, I think he's right now on the way, a Professor of Republic of Indonesia, Defense University, and Chief of Staff of the Indonesian Navy, 2012 and 2015. Bapak Osi Rijal Damuri, the Executive Director of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, SAS Indonesia. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of partner countries, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to welcome you to our international seminar on the Navigating the Future of Indo-Pacific, which is actually part of our series of events in commemorating our 25th anniversary. Let me at the very outset express my sincere thanks and appreciation to our distinguished speakers, guests, and participants. In the first session, we are at the training discussion on the charting out of Indonesian foreign policy under the new administration. And the second session, the Habibie Center, we launched an edited volume entitled Dynamic in Indo-Pacific from Geopolitics and Geoeconomic Perspective. Excellency, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, we are entering a new era in Indonesian history. We welcome President Prabowo and his new administration as they will take on the critical role and immense responsibility to lead Indonesia in an increasingly complex and dynamic geopolitical landscape. This is actually a responsibility that President Baharudin Yusuf Habibie and his administration once shouldered during a pivotal time in Indonesia's history. The challenges ahead are formidable, but demand unwavering focus and decisive action. The question about the synergy of the free and active foreign policy principle within President Prabowo's good neighbor policy and the relevance of ASEAN in Indonesian foreign policy are among the key questions that we wish to address in this session. In the first session of today's international seminar, the Habibie Center aims to gather insight from scholars and experts on Indonesian foreign policy to have a comprehensive outlook for the next chapter of Indonesian foreign policy. I look forward to hearing your insightful views, perspective, and comment on the most current and crucial of Indonesian foreign policy under President Prabowo administration. Excellency, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it is also a great honor for the Habibie Center to publish our edited volume, Dynamic on the Indo-Pacific from Geopolitics and Geoeconomic Perspective. With the Indo-Pacific region taking more than ever significant spotlight in the global geopolitical and geoeconomic landscape, the wave of upcoming new administration across the region, it is inevitably relevant for us, Indonesia as well as ASEAN, and other regional actors to answer and delve deeper the question, how does this ever-moving regional chessboard impact our resilient strategic economy and strategic initiative? I'm confident that our edited volume, comprising 11 scholarly work from the contributing authors, aim to offer valuable insight and evidence-based reference to help map the possible challenges, as well as enlighten the path to achieve welfare and stability in the Indo-Pacific region.
This is because this work has addressed diverse issues in the region, not only what the problem diverse, but the contributing authors also contribute a rich perspective based on their expertise. We can later see that the topic offers a wide range of discussion, such as the great power competition, the role of middle power in navigating these rivalries, as well as non-traditional security issues that is increasingly critical, such as cybersecurity and semiconductors. We invite 3 distinguished authors to present the chapters later. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this international seminar serves as a platform for meaningful dialogue and collaboration. I hope our distinguished speakers and moderators today will offer valuable perspective and actionable recommendations for Indonesia and the broader Indo-Pacific region. On behalf of the Habibie Center, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all participants, speakers, distinguished guests, and our partners, without whom the event would not have been possible. I look forward to engaging in fruitful discussion and gaining new insight that will contribute to a better Indonesia and a better Indo-Pacific. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ansari, for your remarks. Now, I would like to invite Bu Ani Nigeriawati, the Director for Public Diplomacy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. To Bu Ani, the floor is yours.
Very good morning to all of us. Selamat pagi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Rahayu. Allow me at the outset to convey the apology of Her Excellency Siti Nugraha Mauludiah, the Director General for Information and Public Diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for not being able to be with us this morning due to urgent meeting with the Vice Minister this morning. Therefore, I've been asked to convey her keynote address on this auspicious forum of the International Seminar on Navigating the Future of the Indo-Pacific. Bapak Muhammad Hasan Ansori, the Executive Director of the Habibie Center, Ibu Dewi Fortuna Anwar, Chair of the Board Director of the Habibie Center, Your Excellency, my senior, Bapak Dr. Darmansyah Jumala, a former Indonesian ambassador to the Republic of Poland, Austria, and the United Nations, as well as to Admiral retired Marsetio, Professor of the Republic of Indonesia, Defense University, and Chief of Staff of the Indonesian Navy in the period of 2012-2015. Also to Bapak Jose Rizal Damhouri, Executive Director of CSIS, Excellencies, members of Diplomatic Corps, distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I convey my warmest greetings to each and every one of you, and allow me to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the Habibie Center on its 25th anniversary. The Habibie Center has been a key player in advancing Indonesia's intellectual and diplomatic landscape. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia is pleased to have partnered with the Habibie Center on numerous initiatives that amplify Indonesia's voice in regional and global discussions. This collaboration underscores our shared commitment to fostering inclusive dialogue and innovative solutions to complex challenges that we are facing. It is a privilege for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to join this international seminar on navigating the future of the Indo-Pacific. And the seminar's theme is both timely and relevant as it aligns with the priorities of Indonesia's new administration under President Prabowo Subianto. The focus on charting out Indonesia's foreign policy reflects the dynamic challenges and opportunities of the Indo-Pacific region, and making this forum a valuable platform for discussion. And in this regard, my keynote address will focus from the angle of soft power diplomacy, which is the core of the scope of work of the Directorate General for Information and Public Diplomacy. As part of its priorities, Indonesia continues to position itself as a nation that supports the creative economy domestically. It emphasizes strategic sectors that drive sustainable economic development while promoting the welfare of its people. These efforts are also grounded in human resource development and innovative strategies to foster growth, inclusivity, and resilience, ensuring Indonesia to remain responsive to regional and global challenges. Indonesia's commitment to strengthening its domestic potential is further reflected in its international approach through soft power diplomacy, which serves as a foundation of our foreign policy. By projecting the nation's values, culture, and aspirations globally, it enhances Indonesia's image as a pluralistic, democratic, and inclusive country. And this approach is also built on rich cultural diversity, multi-religious, multi-faith heritage, and historical experiences enabling narratives that resonate regionally and globally. And the success of these efforts is driven by collaboration with multi-stakeholders, with civil society, with academicians, think tank, youth, women, religious leaders, to ensure that these efforts are inclusive and aligned with its national interests. Building on this foundation, Indonesia also contributes to global development through initiatives like Indonesian Aid for Development Cooperation, which supports capacity building and sustainable growth in partner countries. These efforts reaffirm Indonesia's role as a reliable partner in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. In parallel, sharing positive narratives about Indonesia's contributions, such as through Indonesian Aid, has helped connect our foreign policy to global narratives and project a positive image of Indonesia internationally. And to guide these efforts, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs focuses on 2+1 priorities in its public diplomacy. Domestically, it brings foreign policy closer to the people and engage the participation and support of the people in conducting its public diplomacy. And internationally, it amplifies positive narratives to strengthen Indonesia's global image. And additionally, we also empower our Indonesian diaspora as ambassadors of the nation's values and culture. And to support these priorities, the ministry, I would also like to inform you that we are working right now with the Habibie Center to develop a grand strategy for Indonesia's soft power diplomacy. Thank you, Habibie Center, as our knowledge partner for this. And this grand strategy for soft power diplomacy of Indonesia would serve as the blueprint or the guidance to build better coordination among different stakeholders and technical ministries in order to enhance Indonesia's self-power asset internationally and to give it a more impactful output of our global image. And in line with this, allow me to highlight, at least we have 3 key pillars that represent Indonesia's soft power diplomacy. First is related to the politics and national values or national resilience, that Indonesia promotes Pancasila and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, along with the principles of democracy, religious moderation, and tolerance as the foundation for national resilience. So we have these programs that include, among others, dialogue on democracy and inclusive society and interfaith dialogue, to strengthen our global collaboration and reinforce Indonesia's identity as a proponent of peace and inclusivity. And recently, we just went to Serbia with Professor Darmansyah Jumala. We went to Belgrade for interfaith dialogue, and we also held this public lecture about Pancasila, which has, at that time, received a very positive response from the public in Serbia. Thank you, Pak Jumala, for supporting us. And the second pillar is economy and tourism related to economy Pancasila, that Indonesia leverages its regional economic potential, creative industries, gastronomy and tourism to enhance its global presence. The ministry has several initiatives, several programs that we are very also grateful to have the support of the diplomatic corps in Indonesia to support our program. And third, it's related to the social and cultural diplomacy. Cultural diplomacy is one of our strengths as well, amplifying Indonesia's identity through arts, music, film, and the promotion of the Indonesian language. We have a number of scholarships, Indonesia Arts and Culture Scholarship. We also have Dharma Siswa Scholarship, and we're very delightful as well to have many participants from the young people from many of our partner countries here attending, the ambassadors also attending this forum this morning. And next year, we're also going to have a program, what we call it, Outstanding Youth for the World. So it is our way to nurture the friends of Indonesia to advocate our values and culture internationally. So again, these pillars are supported by the non-state actors, including think tank and academician, Indonesian diaspora, that we all work together as Indonesia Incorporated to promote Indonesia's values and interests across the globe. And building on this foundation, Indonesia recognizes the potential for collaboration with Indo-Pacific region in areas such as maritime cooperation, sustainable development, and digital transformation. This includes expanding investment in priority sectors like food security, renewable energy, and healthcare, aligning with government programs to strengthen regional partnership through ASEAN platforms and other frameworks. And at the same time, to maintain peace and stability in the region, Indonesia prioritizes initiatives such as South-South cooperation and cybersecurity collaboration, including strategic communication strategies to address emerging challenges. These efforts reinforce Indonesia's role as a bridge between developed and developing nations in the region. And as a middle power and a leading voice in the global South, Indonesia will continue to leverage its cultural and diplomatic assets to address regional challenges with inclusivity and collaboration. So once again, we would like to congratulate the Habibie Center for organizing the international seminar this morning, and I think we will have the forum throughout the day. Congratulations once again, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stands ready to collaborate with the Habibie Center for more initiative. Thank you, and I wish you all fruitful discussions.
Thank you, Bu Ani. Bu Ani, please make your way in front of the stage. And then I invite Dr. Muhammad Hassan Ansori to come and hand the token of appreciation to Bu Ani. Like to invite Professor Dewi Fortuna Anwar as the chair of the board of directors of Habibie Center to join Bu Ani and Dr. Ansori for a quick photo session. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first sessions of the Habibie Center's International Seminar with the theme of Charting Out Indonesia Foreign Policy under the new administration. I would like to especially welcome our honorable speakers for the first session, His Excellency Dr. Darmansyah Humala, Admiral Retired Professor Marsetio, Dr. Yose Rizal Damuri, and our moderator, Professor Dewi Fortuna Anwar. In October 2024, we officially welcome President Prabowo Subianto as the new President of Republic of Indonesia. This marks a new chapter in Indonesia's foreign policy. President Prabowo's extensive experience as a former army commander and a defense minister promises a more hands-on and strategic approach to global affairs. His leadership is expected to shape Indonesia's positions in the world stage, combining our long-standing free and active foreign policy with his vision of a good neighbor policy. The synergy between this principle and his leadership will play a pivotal role in divining Indonesia's relevance and worldview in the evolving dynamics of international relations. This session will be moderated by Professor Dewi Fortuna Anwar. Professor Dewi is a well-known and widely respected scholar in the field of international relations. She has written extensively on Indonesia foreign policy, ASEAN affairs, and many more. Currently, she serves as the chair of board directors of the Habibie Center and the research professor at National Research and Innovation Agency. To Professor Dewi, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Firstly, good morning all. I'm very happy and delighted to see that we have a full house today and so many ambassadors are here. So excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Clearly, you're all very interested to hear the discussion about charting out Indonesia's foreign policy under the new administration. When we talk about a new government, we always get very excited about whether there's going to be more change or more continuity, or it's just going to be business as usual, or whether there are going to be a lot more excitements and shocks and so on. And I think that given the fact that Indonesia has a presidential system, the chief executive, the president, does tend to have a much larger footprint in deciding the foreign policy. And now we have to see, to what extent that foreign policy as part of an objective expression of a country's relations with the outside world, regardless of who is in power, that there will be some objective reality. To what extent it says the bureaucracy that drives it, prime ministers like in Thailand can come and go, but there is a clear directions that it's already been charted out, and it's not that easy, for example, for the policymakers to change. Or whether, like in the United States, there's a real sharp swing from one administration to the other, where one president could revoke previous treaties and have chart a new one. Now, we are in for another exciting ride with President Trump being elected. Now, in Indonesia, I think there is a general consensus that the president does matter in foreign policy, in the sense that he can drive it or he can stultify it, or he can just leave a foreign ministry alone and get on with the line that has already been established. Now, President Prabowo, as our MC has mentioned already, has a lot of experience in international interactions. He's much more cosmopolitan than Pak Joko Widodo. As a promotional, if you're interested in the latest Asia policy, there's a special issue on Indonesia called the Indonesian Roundtable. I have an article there. The title is The Many Facets of Prabowo Subianto, Quo Vadis Indonesian Foreign Policy. So I will not tell you what's in it. So you can read it. You can read it yourself. But the fact of the matter is that Prabowo is a very complex. He's both extremely cosmopolitan, outward-looking, but at the same time very nationalistic. Sometimes very vibrantly and virulently sometimes nationalistic, and sometimes comes out as being xenophobic at times, but at the same time also cosmopolitan. So it's extremely complex. So in what areas, whether it's security, whether it's economics, or whether it's international relation itself, there'll be different facets of it. So now we would like to invite three distinguished speakers to share their thoughts with us about, what quo vadis Indonesia's foreign policy, and whether, there's been a lot of excitement already, only a few days after he's been sworn in, Pak Prabowo traveled so much, and during that travel, his foreign minister traveled, and I had a shock. And then they had a meeting in Beijing. We heard a collective shock. And now he's not here yet. We are waiting, for more shocks to come. Yeah. So we have three distinguished speakers. Two actually formerly from the government, and now half in and half out of the government. Some are out of the government, but you can take somebody out of the government, that the government stays with you also, you know. So they will have interesting perspectives. First, I would like to invite Dr. Darmansyah Jumala. He's now a full-time academic as a lecturer of international relations at the Faculty of Politics and Social Science at University of Pajajaran, Bandung. Also an expert counsel on foreign relations strategy, Agency of Pancasila Ideology Development, and also a member of the expert group on international cooperation, National Agency for Counterterrorism. But all of these academic credentials only come later after Pak Jumala left the government, which is very recently. He is a career diplomat, and he had been Director General and Head of Agency for Foreign Policy Strategy and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And then he served as ambassadors in Poland. And then the Chief of the President's Secretariat, Secretary to President Joko Widodo from 2015 to 2017. And between 2017 to 2021, Pak Jumala was Indonesia's ambassador to Austria and also to the UN in Vienna. So you have, you know, an insight knowledge about Indonesia's foreign policy under President Joko Widodo. To what extent, you know, this is going to be a real change in terms of policy, not just in style, but also in substance. We want to see that you've been given the talking points about, you know, contextualizing interests amidst Indonesia's changing leadership and geopolitical dynamics, interpreting President Prabowo's good neighbor policy, and then looking at flashpoints that Indonesia needs to watch out for in the, in its coming foreign policy. So you have 15 minutes, Pak Jumala. 15 minutes, yes. I will stop you if you go on longer, because we like to have some time for discussion. Thank you. There is a clicker, Pak Iwan. Ini clickernya itu. Mau ini kalau pakai.
Thank you.
Ini.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Dewi. Good morning, everyone. It's a very great honor for me to be invited to this very interesting and important seminar, international seminar. Well, only 15 minutes you give me time for that? Well, it's good. It's better for me to have a time limit. Otherwise, as you know, diplomat, if you allow him to talk without time limit, he will keep talking until tomorrow morning. So thank you, Bu. 15 minutes, right? Well, I share your views that Pak Prabowo's trip to China, America, Europe give us a shock, right? But I hope my presentation today, this morning, will not give you another shock. I will be more, relaxed and more simple presentation about my the very topic of our discussion today. Our discussion today, my presentation will be titled "Construing President Prabowo's Office Policy." In this regard, I just would like to share with you the likeliness of the Prabowo's foreign policy in the next 5 years, okay? And in order to understand more easier for us how to envisage the future Prabowo's foreign policy, I just would like to follow the instruction by the organizer. I have to contextualizing the interests of Indonesia amidst the changing geopolitics dynamics. So I pick up only the context of how to understand, how to envisage the future of Prabowo's foreign policy. First, leadership. Well, its leadership is very important, a very determinant factor in shaping the foreign policy of one country. Well, then I will talk about the regional dynamic facing by Indonesian foreign policy nowadays, and of course, the national interest. With these three contexts, I would like to talking I would like to talk about the leadership of Prabowo as a new president. Of course, he has a new style. He has a new approach, but with old principle. We will elaborate further about this, about the leadership. And with regard to regional dynamics, I just would like to touch upon on the flashpoint in the region. Well, a few days ago, Pak Prabowo made a joint statement on the joint development with China. It is already make another shock, as Bu Devi said. And I just would like to share with you the current regional politics changing, the change of regional politics happening today. What I will share with you, there are some regional, the dynamics of the regional geopolitics. And of course, in order to achieve the national interests, namely economic prosperity and regional stability, Pak Prabowo, I would like to emphasize the style of leadership and also the regional dynamics. Well, allow me to quote what Pak Prabowo said during the debate of the presidential election last January 2024. He said that first he would like to maintain the tradition of free and active foreign policy. See, old principle. To carry a good neighborhood policy, old principle. Well, everybody knows, we are, as a career diplomat and you as an academician, knows very well about the active and foreign policy. That is very standard. And to carry out good neighborhood, also it is very standard for Indonesia. As you remember that this kind of approach used during the Asia-Africa conference, but with another terminology. We call it peaceful coexistence. It's the same. So nothing new. And to develop strong defense, this is something new. So that I just would like to share with you that the first two is very old, it's old tradition of Indonesian foreign policy. But number three, to develop strong defense, to safeguard national interest. This is something new. So this is, I just would like to emphasize that this idea, this idealism proposed by Pak Prabowo will shape the future Indonesian foreign policy. And also Indonesia, number four, Indonesia's leadership by managing its geopolitical and economic interests. This is also new. Pak Jokowi never said this, okay? But Pak Prabowo said something new with regard to the conduct of diplomacy of foreign policy of Indonesia by saying this number 3 and number 4. Next. Well, now let's talk about the perspective of how to analyze the likeliness of Indonesian foreign policy in the future. In terms of the principle, as I said, nothing new. Well, I don't think it is necessary for me to elaborate in detail what does free and active foreign policy. Maybe you are, as an academician dealing with the Indonesian foreign policy, are already aware of this kind of concept, free and active. Free means Indonesian foreign policy is free from pressure from the international, external pressure in determining our position. That's what we call it free. And free also determine, we are free to determine attitudes and response based on national interest. But this is something sometimes create misperception. People said that if we claim ourselves free, it means neutral. No, it is not neutral. Free doesn't mean being net neutral, but taking a side. Taking side of what? Taking side of our own national interests. So this is the flexibility of free and active foreign policy. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it wrong. Free and active, free means we are free to determine our position, but it is not neutral. It is very important to emphasize this notion, free does not being natural, but taking a side with some interest. What interest? National interest. And active is very famous to the scholars. Active means Indonesia is very committed to contribute to the world peace. It's very famous already. And now let's talk about the dynamic. This is the very core of our discussion. The very core of our discussion, as instructed by Pak Ansari, we have to make a list what is happening in our region, Asia-Pacific, with regard to the regional dynamics. I at least identify 4 regional dynamics happening in the last 5 years. First, AUKUS. Okay, this is the regional dynamic happen in Asia-Pacific, which needs to be paid more attention by the next government. AUKUS is a military alliance between Australia and UK and US, in a sense that AUKUS is a military alliance between UK, Australia, and US. But the more important thing for Indonesia with regard to this is with the using of the nuclear submarine by Australia. Now, we are very concerned with this. So what I understand, what I know now is it is happening in New York, in the United Nations. Our friends there still deliberating, discussing how to make a standard, norm standard, how to deal with the submarine, nuclear submarine, if it is passing the Indonesian sea territorial sea. Because we have ALKI and whatsoever. You understand what I mean, ALKI. ALKI is sea lanes communication. Sea lanes, which is allowed. Archipelagic sea lane, we have 3 in our archipelago, which foreign ship can go with the permission by Indonesia. So this is the concern of Indonesian government, how to deal with the nuclear submarine of Australia if it's passing to the north through the our sea lanes, archipelago lane. And the second is US, Japan, South Korea mini-lateral alliance. It also established a few months ago, I think, there is a alliance, military alliance between these 3 on the how to cooperate together if there is a threat faced by these 3 countries. And also, just few months ago, if you are following the news in the international affairs, there is the establishment of trilateral military alliance between US, Japan, and Philippines. And I would like to draw your attention here. Why Philippines? Because Philippines has a dispute with China in the archipelago of the Spratly Island. And there is a minor military incidents. When the ships of the Coastal Guard of China's Coastal Guard face to face with the Philippine Coastal Guard. So it is an embryo of the conflict. If it is not well calculated, it will escalate the conflict to be an open war. So this is the very concern of the regional dynamic is happening in the Asia-Pacific now. And the other one is Asia-Pacific NATO liaison officer. Liaison office is created in Tokyo. So if you read in the newspaper, it is not that attract so big attention from the diplomats, but it happened because NATO established an office for the coordinating office, which to have an advice to the allied countries like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Korea in the base in Tokyo, office of NATO. So all of this, these four regional dynamics I listed in the screen, this is what I call the regional geopolitical dynamics. For what? I can assume, maybe you can agree with me, it is the purpose of this all minilateral military alliance is to contain China. So this is the regional dynamic we are facing now. Should Indonesia respond to this? Well, I make a list in here. I just would like to draw your attention in this one, on the number 2. Intra-ASEAN regional economic cooperation should be deepened. Economic cooperation, intra-ASEAN regional economic cooperation should be deepened. Implement an equal distance strategy in its relation to the countries who have interest in the region. Why? I have a belief that if we are working together in economic sector, right? Nobody will sacrifice your economic interest in one place just for war. So this is the very simple logic. If China, US, Japan, South Korea, working together, invest together in one island, let's say Natuna, okay? And we have a policy we call it equal distance strategy. We have an equal distance strategy. With China, we have a cooperation. With America, United States, we have a cooperation. With Korea, Japan, we invite them to the outermost island of Indonesia. If they have a joint project, joint development in that particular island, who can sacrifice their investment in that island just for the war? So this is the very concept of joint development, okay? Then, of course, the other thing is I just would like to share with you, if we have a joint development in cooperation activities in one particular island, then it will reduce the potential conflict at minimum level. I believe with the old adagium saying that rich people doesn't go to war. Rich people doesn't go to war because they enjoy life already. So who can sacrifice the happiness, the prosperity just for killing each other? So this is just adagium what I believe, and I share that views. So just invite the investor coming to our outermost island, then we can reduce the potential conflict to the minimum level. Now, this is the last one. 15 minutes already?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 more minutes.
Well, now, this is the very interesting part of my presentation, I think. We will envisage the format, the profile of Indonesian foreign policy based on the Prabowo's personality. Not in character, personal character, no. Just on professional background. First, his background, well, I assume that he has a, what we call it, business aptitude. He's coming from the family who has a big business, right? Pak Mitro is scholar, but he's a rich man. He's a businessman. He has a business. And the big family has a business and big business aptitude, right? Then this aptitude might lead him to the attention to the investment and trade. Naturally, if you are a businessman, you are interested in investment and trade. And also, you are interested in protecting the interests of your country if there is a dispute. just like WTO dispute settlement we are facing now in WTO with regard to the nickel and palm oil. I assume that Pak Prabowo, with his background and business aptitude, he will focus more on economic diplomacy, in particular on investment and trade, plus to settle the dispute settlement in WTO, to fight against the anarchic system, anarchic structure of WTO, which is now dominated by big powers in WTO. This is the very important part of his foreign policy in the future. And with regard to his military background and his personality, which is exposed to international life, he has a military background, and I think because of this military background, it will lead him to more attention to the defense and security, and exposed to the international life. And you can see in the TV, right? He's very eloquent. He's very flexible, very friendly, talking to the people in the international forum. So it is his personality. He's good command in English, right? He talked very naturally to the partners. So this character, I think, it will lead him to the more attention to the global issues. So to the global issues deliberated in the multilateral forum. So because, compared to Pak Jokowi never made a speech in the UN. But because his personality, well, you know what I mean. But Pak Prabowo has a very, very character of exposed to the international life. So I think this is, it will shape his foreign policy more attention to make more attention to global issues and multilateral forum. And thus, just because of that, then I assume that he will pay more attention to the world issue and geopolitics of the world. Thank you. I finish at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Jumala. You touched on some very interesting points, including the idea of having a joint development in Natuna and not just inviting one country, but inviting all the relevant countries so that everybody has a stake there, and it serves all the interests of different stakeholders well. Now, next, I would like to invite Bapak Admiral Retired Marsetio, who is currently also an academic at the Defense University, but as you know very well, he's a former Admiral of the Navy. At the moment, Pak Marsetio, he's also he's obtained his PhD already from the Universitas UGM, and he's now Professor of Maritime Defense Science University at the Indonesian Defense University. Current positions include Senior Advisor to the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology for Geopolitics and Geomaritime Studies. Congratulations, this is a very new appointment, right? You already have an office, yeah? Yeah. Indonesian Special Envoy to IMO in London, Chairman of Indonesian Classification Bureau Assembly, and also Professor of, as I mentioned, Professor of Maritime Defense Science at Indonesian Defense University. And formerly, he was, his latest job was as Chief of the Indonesian Navy. A very illustrious career, but also I've known Pak Marsetio a long time. He's also one of these intellectual officials and military officers that we used to have, who wrote books and so on. So not somebody who instantly become PhDs, but somebody who actually did a lot of work and has a long track record of writing about Indonesian maritime affairs. So Pak Marsetio, I think we have 15 minutes, and I know that some of you have already read Pak Marsetio's article in Kompas in defense of the Indonesia's joint statement with China, basically. So I'm sure that will come out later in the discussions. Silakan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, thank you Bu Dewi Fortuna Anwar dan juga Ambassador Jumala. I think both of them, they're very worried and a little bit shocked with the statement from the President Prabowo when they signing the MOU with the President Xi Jinping. But I'm as a military, I'm not shocked because I know that the military character, but I think that Prabowo right now, they combine the military character with the academic, with the try to maximize of the global thinking. So my presentation today, again, thank you very much for the Habibie Center for inviting me to be the speaker. Even I just got the invitation yesterday, but I'm happy to share with all of you. I think most of you, you already read my paper in last Friday. But I'm talking about the agreement between Indonesia and China from the other angle. So I would like to sharing to all of us with the different angle, especially from the military perspective, also from the geomaritime perspective. So I think all of us, the audience, we know that 8 mission Astacita Prabowo Gibran is the main and compass for the next 5 years. If we emphasize, if we look on the point 2, strengthening the country defense and security system, it means how the military leadership, how the military character would like to bring Indonesia to be the real biggest maritime country. And I think President Prabowo, during the speech, also in the media and newspaper, I would like to highlight the strategy to strengthen our defense. So, because we know that together that civis pacem parabellum, there's the adagum that always stressing by our president. I think the statement by the Indonesian Minister of Foreign Affairs, I think Bu Ana, tadi Bu Ana already explained more detail what the insight of the statement of the Indonesian president. I would like to share how Indonesia is the world global or geomaritime pivot, and how Indonesia is the biggest maritime country under the President Prabowo leadership would like to bring in Indonesia as the real pivot maritime in the world. And we share together, Indonesia, we have 10 potential conflicts in our neighbor, except Singapore, because Indonesia and Singapore will signing all the maritime border case in 2011 when the President SBY government. It means that not only with China, we know that we never thinking about that Indonesia, we never have the border maritime between Indonesia and China. But as the consequences, China is one of the countries, the biggest country, would like to take the hegemony United States from Asia Pacific. Now, since 2018, President Trump at the time, they started, they promulgate to all over the world. Starting from June 2018, US PECOM to be the US Indo-Pacific. It means how United States, they prepare the effort of China to take and to overcome all the power in Asia Pacific. Again, we would like to give the sharing. Indonesia is the biggest maritime country, and Indonesia is the one of the country, and we would like to consistent to implementing all the international law based on the maritime UNCLOS and airspace zone. And we already ratification in 1985. At the same time, China also already ratification the UNCLOS in 1996. Just to give you the aware, what's the basis law for Indonesia to carry out? How Indonesia, we have the specific, the privilege in each territory, such as 12 nautical mile. We have the specific law based on the UNCLOS for the territorial sea, contiguous zone, and EAZ. On this occasion, I would like to share Admiral Ambassador Jumala. They have to have the perception from the diplomatic perception. But now I would like to have a look the agreement Indonesia and China from the another angle, from the UNCLOS. If we look more detailed, and I would like to draw your more attention, especially on the Article 279, the obligation to resolve dispute peacefully. On this article, it means that Indonesian government, we have many choices, and we can invite the other country to explore in EAZ. We invite the other country, but we never talking about the claim, and we would like to invite the other country to explore the potential, such as submining in the seabed, but with the bilateral cooperation with Indonesia. And we look more detail in the Article 62, in the point 1, coastal state must promote. It means Indonesia is the biggest archipelagic state. We have entitled to implementing what we have in our EAZ, and we invite the other country to have the same perception in terms of the enhanced cooperation for the welfare. From the geomaritime perspective, I think in the media, in the newspaper, most of the media, they're talking about the potential theater of war in the near future if all the leader, the president, the prime minister, the parliament, then not beware about the potential theater of war. Currently, in the Middle East, in North Atlantic, Russia and Ukraine, as well as now the topic is the potential conflict in the Indo-Pacific. Some media talking about 9-dash land. On the other hand, on August last year, China, they already delivered and stated that not only 9 days line, but 10 days line. We know that the 10 days line currently a claim by the 5 countries and 6 countries with China. It means that the potential conflict would be happen in the South China Sea, even Indonesia is no claimant. It's more complex. On 8th of November, the Philippine government, they stated the Philippine Maritime Zone. And last year, the government of Philippines also agreed to open more 5 naval bases and airport bases. How China to cope the world economy? If we would like to have share this on the question that how China naval base to support Belt and Road Initiative program. If you look on the map, no one left country except United States use the BRI economic program. Also in 2019, China, they set up new naval base in Djibouti to make balance because United States with the NATO members also bringing the Bahrain naval base to be one of the biggest naval base in the Middle East. We were together, even Australia. Australia is one of the supporting country. Also, even the principle of FPDA, full support for NATO. But in Darwin also, now they already contract for the economy for 99 years with China. I think on media, last year, even the Solomon, one of the 11 Pacific country, all the economic already supported full by China, like Myanmar or Sri Lanka. And last week, also in Peru, it means all the countries all over the world, in this South America, also in Africa, 38 countries in Africa use the economic scheme from BRI. What it mean by the BRI? It means the China, they built the train, let's say from Shanghai, from the eastern part of the China, enter to the central of Europe, in Germany and Turkey. We can imagine that if China would like to bring in all the container, 20 or 40 feet, they need only 12 days to bring in all the container from center of China to center of the Europe. That's why I think United States be looking forward after the President Trump. We look forward. They would like to make the trade, the economic trade, for the sanction to China. We know together that on the last month or 2 months ago, that all the EV car from China, they get the sanction 100% tax. And for Europe, 60%. China, in 2012, stated that China to be the blue water navy. If the country claims as the blue water navy, it means that they have the aircraft carrier. Now, China has 3 aircraft carrier class, Liaoning and Shandong. In the next 2 or 3 years, China is starting to build the aircraft carrier with the nuclear power. And on the other hand, that United States, they have 20 active aircraft carrier. In 2021, China, they issued the new Chinese territorial water regulation, and all the ships should be obey all the regulation, except the NATO member or the United States with the principle of freedom of navigation. This the statement from General Mattis. They promulgate the starting on June 2018, United States changed the forces to be U.S. Indo-Pacific. I think Ambassador Jumala already talking about how United States contain the China with to enhance the member of NATO, and now the NATO warship from time to time they're attending this area. It means it could be in Asia Pacific. They will be the weapon power to make the weapon power balancing. I think that's my presentation. I know that the time is up. Saya kembalikan ke Profesor Debbie. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that graphics really show us, but Jumala emphasized about the regional dynamics, the rise of multilateralism, US-centric multilateralism to contain China, and the reasons why there is a need to contain China has been shown by Prof. Marsetio, that you have massive Chinese investment in BRI, which is backed also by increasing military build-up, military bases, and how Indonesia and ASEAN can navigate this. And I think we can have a discussions on this about the South China Sea later on, because there are clearly two schools of thought, while the international law experts have been up in arms and are very concerned about language, about the issues of overlapping claims, which they say, you know, if as you mentioned that Indonesia does not have borders with China, why do we have overlapping claims? And you know, so there's issues. While in your case, you talk about the need to be much more realistic about this, about the real potential of conflicts, and that, you know, we need to develop a new breakthrough to diffuse the tensions and have joint development, and probably following up from Jumala. So, but Prabowo was very fond of quoting Thucydides, that realist perspective of world politics, that the powerful countries will do what they can, and the weaker countries will suffer what they must. Now, is this, do weaker countries have to suffer what they must, or other ways of managing these problems? Now we will take a different perspective, where it is not too much a zero-sum game, although now increasingly, even in economics, it's a zero-sum game. But we are inviting presentations on the issues of outlook on Indonesia's strategic international political economic policies under President Prabowo, with the speakers, Bapak Dr. Yose Rizal Damuri, who is currently the Executive Director at the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Jakarta. And he is, as you know, a very well-known economist, and he got his PhD from the International Economics from the Graduate Institute of International Studies in Geneva, Switzerland. So Pak Jomala got his master's there, and Pak Yose got your PhD. But he is also very active in various many networks, including Asia-Pacific Research Network on Trade, an Area Research Institute network, Think 20, and the think tank network of G20 countries. So Pak Jose, the floor is yours for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Bu Dewi. If I may, I'd like to use the podium. Is it okay? So, actually, so I can see the audience more clearly, and then also I don't see the counter all the times. It makes me nervous, actually, to see that countdown to the 15 minutes. So, I think I'd like. Well, my presentations, I give the titles of my presentations. Please have my presentations on the screen. I give a title to my presentations, Foreseeing Indonesia's International Political Economic Strategies under President Prabowo. But actually, it's not really foreseeing. Actually, I'm guessing, basically, on how international economic policy and also international political economic policy would be shaped under President Prabowo. But I believe in order to look at it, you have to look at it from a bigger perspective on what happens at the global context and what the response of Indonesia under the administrations of President Jokowi have responded to that global economic situations. So what we see, I think I don't need to talk much about the dynamics of global economic environments. You have seen so far a lot of dynamics and how Ibu Dewi also already mentions the kind of like a zero-sum game. Zero-sum game perspective also already take place in the economy, and security becomes the narrative or main narratives of economic cooperation and economic relations. It started basically started as a reversals of the globalizations, maybe since around 10 years ago, but recently it already becomes very intensive, and you can come up with three areas or three aspects where you can see the rise of protectionisms and as well as industrial policy and the use of trade and economic policy as weapons, as security instruments actually on various issues. And another thing is also the rise of diversifications narrative. Diversifications from normally from China to other countries. So this kind of things already resulted to the fragmentations of trade and investments. There are friendshorings and trade has been diverted. Relocations of production as well already take place. Again, trade has been diverted from one country, especially from China, to other countries as well. And some countries actually take this kind of situation as an opportunity for them to build their industrial development, to build their manufacturings, to also increase their export competitiveness. And some countries are quite good on it they're taking advantage of these situations very, very well, such as, for example, Vietnam's. I should mention Vietnam's about it. For example, after President Trump's release or started his trade war in 2018, Vietnam's increased their export to the United States by 70%. Yeah. So also you can see that the opportunity also takes place in other areas such as investments and also setting up a production hub. So Indonesia also sees that as an opportunity. But unfortunately, Indonesia perhaps failed taking advantage of the spillover effects of their geopolitical and geoeconomic situations. For example, supposed to be that slide. For example, in 2019, Jokowi tells minister to take advantage of US-China trade war as investors tend to bypass Indonesia. Maybe investors try to diversify away from China. They look at many Southeast Asian countries and they set up or they open up their production facilities in Vietnam, in Malaysia, in also many other places, including also in Singapore. But they tend to bypass Indonesia. So again, this situation gives some kind of frustrations actually to Indonesia in general, especially in the international economic policy side. And why that happens, I try to analyze it. So basically, there are three issues here. The first one is the production structure in Indonesia perhaps is not really suitable for diversifications from China. At least around 5 years ago or until several years ago. You can see here the similarities of Indonesia's production structure with China remain to be very low and compared to other ASEAN countries here. So investors who want to diversify away, who wants to set up their production hub outside China, they try to go to the places where the production structures tend to be more similar with China. Because it's easy for them to do that instead of starting from zero or starting from situations that might need more investment from them. In addition, Indonesia's economy tend to also have low integrations into the global supply chains, as you can see from the backward value added indicator that tend to put Indonesia lower than compared to many other ASEAN countries. So these kind of things also combined with a highly uncertain business environment in Indonesia resulted to Indonesia failed to take this kind of opportunities. Although Indonesia really want to take up this opportunity for industrial development. So in the end, under President Jokowi, Indonesia is using the size of the market and also natural resources as a leverage for taking advantage of the current global situation. Unfortunately, it has that kind of strategy has been implemented through the use of more protectionist measures. It tried to reduce the import, Indonesia has the TKDN strategy, for example, the local content requirement strategy, try to reduce the imports on the intermediate input as well as on the consumption input. And also it has a downstreaming strategy, trying to add more value added to the productions, domestic productions, and unfortunately it hasn't really been combined or supported by a good investment policy. So these kind of things, we know that it already gives some results. Export of some processed minerals also already increased quite well, but whether it's still or it already gives good contribution, positive contribution to industrial development in Indonesia is still debatable. Many statistics still don't see that kind of those strategy already have a fruitful result. So let me come to Prabowo side. I believe that Mr. Prabowo, President Prabowo, would continue this kind of international economic policy, would continue that kind of a more perhaps you can see it as more protectionist measures in order to give Indonesia's leverage. But unlike President Jokowi, who did it in a more pragmatic way, I believe Pak Prabowo would do it in more philosophical way. Yeah. Because he believed that economic independence is necessary conditions for Indonesia's prosperity. And it is combined with another perspective that Indonesia is a nation blessed with abundant natural resources. So if you have those two philosophical perspectives, then the result can have to be more nationalistic and more, perhaps also more protectionist, at least to promote national interests. So he believes that Indonesia's economic independence in security as well as in economy remain to be the most important part. He would use international economic relations as a means for increasing resilience and also independence. So I believe that this is guessing actually, a game of guess. Not really, I don't really have a lot of data at the moment on how to see Indonesia's international economic policy. But maybe we can see it from here. Indonesia will take more leadership role in ASEAN. Although Indonesia may engage more with major economic powers in order to get the financial and technological access that would support Indonesia's intention for being more independent and being more secure in many other areas. In that context, actually, you can see it also why Pak Prabowo, for example, agreed to have a joint development project in South China Sea, because he sees that South China Sea is blessed with natural resources that can be used for Indonesia's economic prosperity. And in order to do that, in order to utilize that kind of those natural resources, it has to collaborate with the economic powers for financial and technological access. And one of the reasonable partners is China itself. And despite all those kind of what you call this, disputed and claimants over the area by other countries, including also by China. So he would see it that way. He would also support non-aligned and independent policy, try to balance the relationship with global powers while exploring collaborations with a global South. But again, it is also intended to promote and to strengthen Indonesia's independence as well as Indonesia's economic resilience. And economic diplomacy would be also pursue national development priorities, taking advantage from the current geopolitical rivalries. And perhaps in the interest of Indonesia's economic policy and economic development, he would also promote Indonesia as a key player in regional economic integrations. Most of the trade agreements, most of the economic cooperations would also be channeled in order to push on to promote economic independence and economic resilience of Indonesia. I think I end that here, my talk here, because I already see that my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Yose. You should get a token of appreciation from us, because right on time. We don't have extra time. Yeah. We have about 20 minutes for discussions, for Q&A. But you know, Pak Jose had laid out the challenges that we have, the realities of global economic fragmentation, global supply chains are increasingly fragmented. But whether it is fragmented or whether it is not fragmented, Indonesia is not part of it. I think that's the bottom line. Whether there's good news at the moment, we are protected from it, but that means also, you know, there's a room for improvement. And when your discussions about Pak Jumala would started with the fact that Prabowo's personality trait, he has business aptitude. He is also, you know, somebody with a military background. He's also much more at ease with dealing with the international arena because he's much more cosmopolitan. And Pak Marsetio has laid out to us, you know, the reality on the ground, particularly the maritime challenges that we face, and you know, how do we go about it? Do we just stand on principles and not move forward, or you know, we say, okay, you know, we have principles, but then we move forward. And then Jose has explained about the challenges of the global economies at the moment, the prevalence of protectionism and industrial policy. And I think that it should be reminded, since this is held by the Habibie Center, Pak Sumitro, Professor Sumitro, Prabowo's father, was both one of the first Minister for Science and Technology, a Minister of Research and Technology, who was later followed by Pak Habibie, but he was also the chief architect of the Indonesian economy under Orde Baru. And as you know, throughout the New Order period, there was this debate about Habibienomics and Geoeconomics. The economists mostly talk about Pak Hos's results, you know, about efficiency and about how Indonesia could compete, while those who are in technology said, you know, you have to think about industrial policy. You do not, you know, it is not just simply about Indonesia's comparative advantage with rich natural resources, but how do we increase value added? And this debate was never resolved. And in fact, there was a lot of tension. But now it seems, beginning with Pak Jokowi, that there's also the debate about value added industrial policy, that in order to move to the upper middle level in the Indonesian economy, we need to have more, that we cannot take technology, science technology for granted. And why Indonesia is not part of the global supply chain is precisely because the education, the innovation, the research and development and so on, have not really been built up, besides the uncertain regulatory framework and so on. So there's debates, I think, within Pak Prabowo. It'll be half of him will be Sumitro's son, who is an economist, a technocrat, and half of him will be the Sumitro who is, former Minister of Science and Technology. So it will be interesting to see, how they would go on. Now, I would like to open the floor for questions, answers, maybe rebuttals, but since our time is short, keep it brief, please. There are a lot of, I will take 5. I will take 5 and keep it short. So I will start with Pak Satish at the front, and then at the back, and at the back, yeah. Just those of you who, Lutfi, just go around and see the hands, yeah? And I will just take up as many comments as possible. Satish?
Thank you very much. Is this mic working? Thank you very much. Because the time is short, I'm just going to list very quickly some of the questions which I think need to be added in a way to get a better picture of this particular presentation. My first point is that the Indonesia-China relationship.
But Satish, introduce yourself just briefly.
Yeah. My name is Satish Mishra, and I'm a visiting associate fellow at the Habibie Center. Thank you. So the first thing is that the Indonesia-China relationship is a very complex relationship, and the economic part of it is a very small issue. And if we see it in that sense, number of questions arise, which we can take up in later discussion. But I'll just mention 1 or 2 points here. One is that Indonesia itself is not standing still. It's not a question of just a natural resource, etc., but the domestic market is also growing dramatically because of urbanization, because of the growth of a internal middle class, and also because of connectivity. So the internal market, so now it's a large country with a domestic market, which opens up the possibility of a much more domestic market-based development. So the cost of not participating in the kind of globalization opened up because of China-US relationship conflict, is one of the issues. The second point I'd like to make is that, of course, there are many other countries which are also trying to take advantage of this relationship, not only in Southeast Asia, but in South Asia, for example. There are many, many areas where investment is also moving to India. It could be done jointly, in partnership with Indonesia and so on, and I think one has to look at that part of it also in order to get a picture. And I think the other issue of, which is an important consideration for Indonesia, is also the political system. It's very difficult to talk about China or the US today purely in economic terms. And again, my general suggestion is that the economic context here has to be put in a much wider framework, precisely because even globalization is not merely a technocratic economic issue. It has a very large number of political and strategic, including security considerations. And so I'd like to see this put in that kind of context. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jose can respond to that later too. So, yeah. At the back, yes.
Thank you. Ristian Suprianto, lecturer with the Department of International Relations, University of Indonesia. My question goes directly to Ambassador Jumala and Admiral Mastio on the South China Sea. Unfortunately, I did not see in the presentation any reference to the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal Award, 12 July 2016, between China and the Philippines, that was released by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. So my question is that, and I think this is very important because this was raised in Prabowo's joint statement with President Biden in the fact that this ruling is pursuant to UNCLOS. So it clarifies all the ambiguities within UNCLOS. Now we know that China considers this ruling as null and void. It opposes anyone trying to enforce the ruling, but Indonesia's position is, of course, supports and endorses the ruling as Prabowo stated with President Biden. So my question is, how can Indonesia and China engage in any types of cooperation that China might be inconsistent with the ruling of the 12th July 2016? Thank you.
Thank you. Pak Prasetyo can take that up, and maybe also Pak Jumala. Third, I like to pick the lady. Is there two ladies? Yeah, but the one at the back, the one wearing the mask. Yeah. No, the one wearing the mask first at the back. Thank you. And after that, the one that you, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I am Cindy from Antara. I would like to ask about the Philippine maritime law and Indonesia and China maritime cooperation, how it will affect the situation in South China Sea. Will we make it worse or will we make it better? Second question, how do you see about the decision about the repatriation of Mary Jane Veloso to Philippines, the narcotic death sentence?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Mary Jane Veloso to Philippines.
Maritime law of the Philippines. Yeah.
Mary Jane Veloso to Philippines, the death narcotic sentence. Repatriation to Philippines. Keputusan pemulangan Mary Jane Veloso ke Filipina.
Okay, since we didn't discuss that, that's an out question.
Okay, thank you.
That's issue bilateral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next to the front. So we'll just address the one that relates to the South China Sea, but not about deportation. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Ita Nurjana. I'm from the Indonesia Defense University, and I would like to ask the question about the hot topics, Indonesia joining the BRICS. And even though, as we know, that Indonesia is not a permanent full member of BRICS yet, and we are still observant member, but the foreign minister of Indonesia has already made a decision and still waiting for Indonesia to be a full member of BRICS. And I would like to ask your expert opinion about that as Indonesia and how it impacts Indonesia in the Indo-Pacific region and geopolitical tensions right now. And as Indonesia is also has a great leadership in the ASEAN and how it impacts Indonesian relation with the ASEAN countries. And as we know that BRICS is not only about the economic cooperation, but also about the security and defense, I would like to ask about your in-depth analysis more on the defense and security perspectives. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take the last one, number 5, Mas Rene. Pak Rene here.
Thank you, Ibu Dewi. My name is Rene Patirajawane. I'm the chairman of the Center for Chinese Studies. It is rarely we have a forum like this to have a diplomat, military officers, and an economic academics on talking about Indonesia-China relations and talking about Indonesia foreign policies. So my question is to these 3 distinguished gentlemen is, are we is the growing entrenchment in the view of diplomacy's, military's outlook and economic development, is the growing entrenchment between the West, namely the Americans, and China being driven by the US or by China? And what will be our positions regarding to these issues?
Sorry, not clear. What is it?
It's the growing entrenchment. Yeah?
Estrangement, you mean?
Estrangement.
You know, the growing tension, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Between the West and China is being driven by the US or by China. And especially to Admiral Mastio, you're talking about resolve any dispute. Do we have a dispute with the Chinese? If yes, where? Are you saying that we are acknowledging the 9-dash line? And you are trying to persuade us and your students at the University of Defense that we acknowledge the 9-dash line. And especially to Pak Jose, if we are trying to uphold leadership in ASEAN with the joint statement that has been issued in Beijing last week, is our reputation as an honest broker has been damaged? And is there any visible alternative exists to control and manage the damage that has been done? Thank you, Bu.
It's very easy questions. Now, Pak Satish explains that, you know, the issues between Indonesia and China it's not just about economics, it's much wider, and we need to take wider perspective about that. Pak Jose can answer that. And then about the fact that in the joint statement, there's no mention of PCA. In fact, there's no mention of UNCLOS. They just talk about respective national laws. But Indonesia and the United States, in the recent joint statement in Washington, reaffirms commitment to UNCLOS and also to the PCA. So how consistent is this? And how could this actually impact the cooperation? How can we actually carry it out honestly? And then the impacts of the Philippines maritime law. How does it impact on the situation? And then about BRICS, how will it even impact politically, economically, for Indonesia's position in the Indo-Pacific and also in ASEAN? But it's interesting that there are 3 other ASEAN countries who are applying for BRICS. And then there's this question, who started the tension? Is it the US or the West or China? And in the end, does it really matter? Who started it? But it's there, the tension. And then this question, this joint statement and talking about joint development. Do we have a conflict with China? If yes, where and why? Because Indonesia doesn't recognize that we have a maritime border with China. So why would we have conflict with China on that? And if we don't have a conflict, why do we have that joint statement? So I will start with the last, yeah? Pak Jose can take it, and then Pak Marsetiawan and Pak Jumala. And each of you can wrap up your answers as well. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, I think if I'm not mistaken, Pak Satis also mentions that it's not only the relations between Indonesia and China is not only economic. I agree with you, and it has a lot of nuance. And also, when we're talking about economics, actually not only about natural resources. If I'm not mistaken, you also say like that. But I believe, not I believe that what I was trying to describe is actually. I'm trying to guess what is inside Pak Prabowo's minds when they're looking at when he tried to set up his international economic policy. My observation is that he believed that economic is the necessary conditions for economic independence is necessary conditions for Indonesia becoming more prosperous in the future. He stated several times, including also in CSIS dialogue last year when we invited 3 presidential candidates to deliver their speech and also a perspective on foreign policy issue. He stressed this kind of things. Economic independence is the necessary conditions. And also my observations that he believed that Indonesia is a country blessed with a lot of natural resources. He even mentioned, if you look at his book, he talked, I think 50% of the book discuss about Indonesia's natural resources and how Indonesia do not really take advantage of that position. So this is a basis for President I think Prabowo's economic policy, including also foreign economic policy, international economic policy. So in there, my take is that he would use the foreign economic policy or international economic policy to support those independence. Like food, he mentions about food security, he mentions about energy security. That's all basically about self-sufficiency. And he believed that we, Indonesia, should go there. And we need to take advantage of our natural resources for that. So when we're looking at the Indonesia's relations with China, I think in the future, we also need to put it in that context. Natural resources would become even more strategic here, and also will be used more intensively in order to take advantage of the current situations and also to support industrial developments. That's why downstreaming is actually one of the economic strategy that he mentioned several times, including also in the Asta Cita. Downstreaming is basically the economic policy based on natural resources. You will use your natural resources, whether it is the right way or not. This is all. This is an effective way, effective strategy for Indonesia's developments, economic development or not. It's irrelevant. But here we discuss about how Prabowo perceive this kind of situation, and this is my guess or my observations on that.
We don't really have time to go too far, yeah? Talking about the Indonesian domestic market, that's another seminar.
And that's why also when we're talking about Indonesia's joining BRICS, I think this is also part of that kind of strategy. Indonesia's keep trying to proceed for OECD accessions, but BRICS also in Prabowo's administrations also have been seen as part of the way to get access to financials, to technology, and to capital as well for Indonesia's economic development and to support economic independence. But whether those two would be in lines, I think we still need to see whether joining BRICS would remain to make Indonesia becoming more independent, economically independent or not. Because sometimes you have to sacrifice, you have to give up your independence by joining certain groups. And it is very easy to give up your economic independence, especially when you're trying to join a group like BRICS, which initially intended for economic purpose, but currently already also expanded to security issues. So we still need to see that kind of a strategy would be successful or not.
Okay, the jury is still out because this is still the very beginning. Pak Prasetyo?
I think your question, Bu Devi, is very insight. Why? Who started the tension in the Indo-Pacific? I think both the two big countries, United States and China. While in 2018, United States stated that they changed the forces in the Asia-Pacific from US PACOM to US Indo-PACOM. At the same time, why? Because China, as the Blue Water Navy, as the biggest country with the rapid economic growth in China, so China would like to take the hegemony lead by United States after the World War II. Talking about the recent question, that I think that's for the ruling 2016, why China they not agree or disagree with the decision, while because China, they're the big country, they take and they're cloning the foreign policy from United States. So while in 2014, after the tension between China and India, United States would like to invite India to support all the policy, to support the NATO program, so they put the new pact, the Quad. So talking about the Indo-Pacific era, I think that not only the United States, but also China would like to invite all the countries, the Asia-Pacific region, to be as part of the balance of power and the rest of armed forces.
Pak Jumala?
Yes, thank you, Bu Devi. I do not want to ask to respond one by one of the questions. I just would like to pick up 2 or 3 questions raised by the audience. I identified there are 3 questions interrelated to each other. That is from Antara and also, wait a minute, number 2 and number 3, Ibu Semi, and number 2, I forgot the name, and also number 4, about the Indo-Pacific. And BRICS, I will touch upon on the BRICS. Well, with regard to the South China Sea, in view of the joint statement made by President Prabowo and Xi Jinping. Well, let me put it this way. What is the problem with this? In such a way that make what do you call it, rame, chaotic in the comments in the newspaper. It is because the language formulation, okay? But the very idea of this joint statement is to minimize the potential of conflict. Well, just take a look on the formulation, language formulation. I don't think it will make a tension in the newspaper, in the comments in the newspaper, if there is no phrase mentioned in the joint statement that is overlapping claims. Why? Because for Indonesia itself, officially, we don't have any problem with any claims with the in the South China Sea with China. Why? Because in our position of the sea territorial and EEZ is very clear. We have our coordinate, and it is already deposited in the UNCLOS 82. It is recorded, okay, clear. And from the China side, they never declare the coordinate of the 9-dash line. They just use the claim, justify their claim based on the historical claim, that is fishing, traditional fishing ground, which is not justified in UNCLOS. So if you don't have any coordinate in your 9-dash line, so why bother? This is the very simple position of Indonesia. Why bother? You just don't care. You don't have your coordinate. We have our own. This is the very position of Indonesia. Then, if we want to suppress, we want to reduce the potential of conflict, why don't we cooperate? And the cooperation, joint development is advised, is suggested in COC, COD, and also in EEZ clause. Take a look over the EEZ clause. They advise us to suggest us, we have a sovereignty in that territory EEZ by promoting development. So this is the very basic reason why Indonesia and China make a cooperation in that area. The problem is they use the language of overlap claims. Only that make a problematic situation. If there is no the word of overlapping claims, then everything will be smooth. The second one is the joint cooperation, joint development in the statement will be undertaken pursuant to laws, national laws and regulation, which is good. But it creates a problem. Why? There must be a phrase, additional phrase, also pursuant to international law. UNCLOS 82. So this is the language formulation. If I were there, I will push it to our minister, to our president. Unfortunately, I am retired already.
Our ambassador in China is there.
So this is the situation. So now the problem is how it will affect with ASEAN. Don't worry, our ASEAN friends, because this is only bilateral. We have our bilateral maritime border negotiation, and with Malaysia, with Vietnam, some already finished, and some is still going on. Don't worry, this is very bilateral. Doesn't change our commitment with our bilateral maritime borders. No change. So this is the way I put the situation, right? So don't worry, be happy. So the problem is we have to wait until and unless the joint development agreement will be stipulated in the written agreement. Is there any reference to the which territorial sea where the investment will be made? So in the agreement, usually there must be a phrase or clause stipulating about the where, what location. So this is is at stake, I mean. So we have to wait. What do we mean by overlapping claim? We just forget it. We just want to see in the written agreement, which is now preparing by what they call it intergovernmental committee. They will working on it, and we have to scrutinize what do they mean by territory in that. In which territory they will have joint development. So that is the objective and proportional situation, as I understand. And what about BRICS now? Well, ma'am, why should we follow the Cold War mentality? What I mean is, you with us or you against us? You are with OECD or against OECD? If you go to BRICS, you against. Why should we? That kind of mentality. That is mentality of Cold War. Why don't we have another paradigm? New paradigm is, that's it. It's very relevant, free and active. We are active, we are free to determine what is good for us. If BRICS give us a benefit, then go with us. Then cooperate, work with us. And OECD, yes, it gives us the benefit, then beneficial for us. We cooperate together. So this is what I mean. Free and active doesn't mean neutral. So please understand this. This is very in the typical Indonesian. Typical Indonesian. There must be a third way of paradigm, third way of thought. Don't be trapped yourself to the Cold War mentality. You with us or you against us? No way, man. So this is the way how we perceive the dynamic world geopolitics nowadays. So I don't be pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic with regard to the BRICS or OECD. We have to apply both, and as long as we can benefit for them, then go with it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will not try to make a summary, but sometimes be careful of what you wish for. I mean, we were all so said, Pak Jokowi is not paying attention to international issues. He doesn't go around. He doesn't make speeches and so on. Now we have a president who is hyperactive, and he makes speeches. And sometimes, he gives us surprises, So we are in for some exciting and turbulent time. But my point is, in diplomacy and laws, language matters. So that means that we can say that maybe, there is a sharp learning curve also, that when drafting a joint statement, usually it takes weeks for third echelons to work back and forth to get the draft. Then it goes up to the second echelons. Then you go up to the first echelon. They fight over commas and full stops, because if you move the semicolons, it will change, So we need to learn from the Pegadaian, say, menyelesaikan masalah tanpa masalah. That's from our, what is that? What is the Pegadaian? Yes, there's this lone, when we say, we must solve problems without creating more problems, yeah? So we do not want to set our heart's rate to go up. And many of our international laws, I think, Pak Hikmahanto and Pak Edi Pratomo got really angry. They issued a press release at midnight, because of that. And that is very important. But I think that is very, very useful, because then all of these issues come out. And we are all learning from this. Secondly, we are not neutral. We are free and active. And I think that, our non-alignment is now about multi-engagement. But when I was little, I used to read a book called Dr. Dolittle. Dr. Dolittle, and in that story, there's an animal called Push Me, Pull You. It's got two heads. And the two heads always disagree with each other. The left head wanted to go left. The right head wanted to go right. At the end, Push Me, Pull You did not move, because the two heads were always disagreeing with each other. So be very careful also when our multi-engagements made us move around, but not moving anywhere. Yeah? So you would think that we are being active, but if we are going up the downwards escalators, you may be active, but you're not moving anywhere. So also make sure that it is not just about the motion, but how effective is it? How strategic, and I think that we have to be judicious about this. So thank you very much. You have been very good as an audience, and thank you very much to all our speakers. Patrick?
There was a very interesting discussions on charting out Indonesia foreign policy under the new administration. To our speakers and moderator, I invite you to now stand in front of the stage. I would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Excellency Dr. Darmansyah Jumala, Admiral Retired Professor Marsetio, and Dr. Jose Rizal Damuri, and of course our moderator, Professor Dewi Fortuna Anwar, for their unique and valuable insights. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Hasan Ansori to deliver the token of appreciation and for a quick photo session. Kurang ya? Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that brings the end of the first sessions of the seminar. But don't worry, as we're gearing up for the second and final sessions of our program. In the next session, we will launch our new edited volume on the dynamics of Indo-Pacific from geopolitics and geoeconomic perspective. We are honored to welcome the authors of the 3 best chapters who will join us to share their insights and perspective. In the meantime, please feel free to grab some lunch just outside of this ballroom. Enjoy your break, and we hope to see you back at 1:15 p.m. Thank you, and see you after lunch.